So I was basically wrong. I predicted 3.2 million, and it came out to be 2.35 million. And I want to give a congratulations to anybody who actually came up with the right numbers. I know Puma Fist has been crowing about how he predicted it accurately. Now I don't know when he made his prediction or based on what, but at the same time, if he did manage to come by it honestly, then kudos to him. So congratulations to everybody who made an accurate prediction, except for this douchebag. Anime Gematria. And if you've ever seen this site, be prepared to roll your eyes so hard you're going to need an ophthalmologist later. This guy came back to me when the campaign was ending and said, "Still think numerology is a joke? I predicted over a month ago that Isom number 2 would only make either 2.3 million or 2.5 million using numerology." And I was leaning more heavily on 2.3 million since this is the year 2023. Yeah, I really couldn't believe it when this guy who I had just dismissed as a crackpot came back to me and said, "See, I was right. I was totally right all along." Now, to be fair, though, I don't really know that much about numerology or gematria or any of these kinds of things that go into, shuffling numbers around and trying to make them make sense of the world. So I did pose a challenge to him, figuring that if he comes through on the challenge, well, what the heck, I'll give his channel a shout out. So I said, I tell you what, if you haven't already done it, in which case send me your links, put up videos of your predictions for Alpha Core number 1 and Yaira number 1's final numbers, at least one day before each campaign starts. And if you hit the trifecta, I'll dedicate a video to giving your channel a shout out. Fair enough? Yeah, what do you think are the odds that this guy actually took me up on this offer? It's zero. It turned me flat down. Why is that? Because I put this condition on it. I wanted to get those predictions at least one day prior to each campaign start. Because if you go back and you look at what it is that he published as a prediction, then you've got this clip from his video doing the predicting, saying that, hey, look, the Isom number 2 pre-order campaign is in session, and based solely on the start date of June 12th, 2023, you see that you've got 23 and 25 in the various kinds of numbers that can be used to make up the date June 12th, 2023. So basically, he took 23 and 25 and said, okay, it's going to be between there. So, what would be the problem then? I mean, so long as we knew what the campaign start date for the Alpha Core number 1 campaign and the Yaira number 1 campaign were going to be, and one day before each campaign starts, I mean, you definitely know by that point when the campaign's going to start, why not put together a predictive video saying, here is how much that I am, just based on the start date, here is how much I am predicting that Alpha Core number 1 and Yaira number 1 are each respectively going to make. Why not? Well, there is a reason. And the reason is that this start date is actually not the only piece of input that goes into this gematria crap. The other piece of input is how far the campaign was along at the time this prediction was made. You'll notice that the total sales is not zero, which means that this June 12th based prediction was not made before June 12th. This June 12th prediction was actually made on July 4th, when the campaign was already almost a month underway and still had about a month left to go. So you've got these figures here. The current figure saying 1.7 million is where we are now. And based on that and based on the momentum that the campaign still had, choosing these 23 and 25 numbers off of the row to the left, or the column to the left, was kind of a no-brainer to do. You're just basically taking numbers, cherry-picking numbers that are going to make sense with regard to where things are at the present time, and go with those. Now I ask you, let's say that instead of July 4th, these numbers were taken around August 20th, and the campaign was stuck at around 1.7 million on August 20th, so only a week left to go. Well, in that case, why wouldn't he have just picked the numbers 16 and 18 instead of 23 and 25? There's really literally no reason not to pick whatever the numbers that you think are going to make the most sense are. So the idea that this has actually got any kind of predictive power apart from the record of how the campaign is doing so far is just ridiculous, and there's no reason to believe in any of it. Now, Anime Dramatria doubles down, however, and says that, oh, wait, no, we can actually break this down even more granular, because if you look at the numerical breakdowns of the start date of the campaign, which is in the left hand column, and if you look at the numbers that are produced by the end date of the campaign, which is in the right hand column, then we can actually see how a couple of these numbers have hit on more granular, more specific totals to prove out the merits of this gematria crap. Well, here's the problem, though. I mean, like right now, we've got 23 and 52 highlighted, because if you look at the final total sales, then if you round up from the 1500 into 2000, you get 23 and 52. And yeah, that looks impressive. It also looks impressive when you see that 672 down there and realize that the sales goal was 672% of the original sales goal. So the total sales wound up being 6.72 times what was originally predicted, although that number was also kind of pulled out of a hat. Now, here's the problem. There are 23 more numbers on that page that have not a fucking thing to do with any of the predictions made. These are 23 worthless numbers. So basically, what we're hearing is that, look, on a page of 26 numbers, I found 3 numbers that look really, really suspiciously like they have actually some kind of predictive power toward the end of the campaign. But you've also got 23 numbers that have nothing to do with the end of the campaign. Yeah, this is garbage. And the reason why it seems impressive to us is because we think that coincidences occur way less frequently than they do. We see those numbers and we see how they line up with the numbers produced by the campaign, and we think, oh, this can't be a coincidence. But coincidences occur like all the freaking time. And the best example of that is the birthday problem. Like if you take a certain number of people, excuse me, and excuse me, I've been a little bit under the weather lately. Okay, hopefully that's the remainder of the phlegm. If you take the number of people at a party and you generate the probability that that 2 of them will have the same birthday, well, you look at that and you think to yourself, oh my gosh, well, the 2 people at the same party, I mean, there's 365 days in the year to choose from. That's got to be a hellishly small number. You can't possibly, especially even if you have a larger number of people. So what if we took, there were 26 numbers on that page that we just looked at. What if we took 26 people? What is the probability that 2 of them have the same birthday? So these are the 20, taking these as being an example. What is that probability? It's close to 60%. There is a 6 out of 10 chance that you are going to have 2 people in that room that have the same birthday. And so when you're looking at these kinds of coincidences that occur, your brain is primed to think that these are rarities, but they're really not. If you generate any kind of set of numbers and then you compare it against some sort of analysis of events, almost always you're going to find some really, really weird kind of coincidences going on. That's why they have things like the Bible codes, where you have things like the ship that went down beneath the waves crosses over in the King James Bible with the word Titanic. It's complete coincidence. But at the same time, it makes our brains just go into this lock, thinking there can't possibly be a coincidence for this. This must be something to do with God or divinity or gematria and all this kind of moronic stuff. So, yeah, when you look at these figures and you see how the numbers that were actually arrived at were just cherry picked from a random list, there's just no reason to give this kind of goofball stuff any kind of credit whatsoever, because hey, look at what was available if the campaign made between $4 and $5 million. Well, then you could have just gone and said, oh yeah, my prediction is between 4.1 and 5.2 million, and there you go. Now you've come up with a new set of numbers from the same batch that are basically cherry picked to suit wherever the campaign was at the time. If the campaign was going on $5.5 million, well, look, Can't you see how the gematria was putting it between 5.2 million and 6.1 million the whole time? Yeah, this is all a bunch of BS. And so that's why when I first encountered Anime Gematria online, I said, this is a parody site, right? And someone else came along and said, one would hope it's a parody site. Otherwise, it's extreme mental illness. It's hilarious how you can cherry pick and make it come out to numbers that support any narrative you want. And that's absolutely true. This is just a matter of generating a list of numbers and then picking out the ones that look the closest and going with those and calling it a prediction. It's bogus. So, I still hold this challenge open. If Anime Gematria wants to take me up on it and make predictive videos prior to the start of each campaign, hey, go for it. Because, if you can go 3 for 3 on these, that might actually say something. Just remember to show your work and try not to make it too much like a cherry pick job. So thanks to everyone who watched this video. I hope it was informative and enlightening and that it'll steer you away from psychic fairs and all the other crap that goes along with numerology and other astrology and all the other bogus type quote unquote sciences. And I hope that you will subscribe and follow my channel so that future updates, especially updates involving Isom #2, which I hear will be coming to my online retailer in the near future so that I can finally pick up some copies. Please do subscribe so that you can get informed on those and get an idea of my opinion on whether Isom #2 is an improvement over #1, more of the same, or even a slide downward. I'm hoping, based on all the positive reviews that Eric has been publishing on Twitter, that this is a good book. But I'm just going to have to make that judgment for myself whenever the copies finally hit my desk. So, thank you all for joining me. I'm Mike Partika. Please do subscribe, and I will talk to you later.